Hell yeah!
Yeah. So, welcome back, everybody, to the second segment of our 80s episode. Greg, what were you going to say? I
I
cut
was
you
going
off.
to say, that's just the greatest.
It's one of the best
cartoon.
theme songs ever.
Greatest. The 80s had the best cartoon theme songs.
Yeah.
Because the other one, I mean, dude, when we did that TMNT episode, that shit gets you so hyped that.
Oh, yeah. It gets you so hyped, you crack your skull.
Yeah, that was a
fireplace.
great story. What's it about Casey Kasem?
in this episode, or the second half of the season finale, we're going to be talking about 80s video games and cartoons.
Yeah.
Nate, I know that you have
animation.
a special affinity for this. So, what is your favorite 80s video game?
Well, we got Nintendo when I was a kid.
Yep,
And
yep.
I was super excited about that. It's probably the best thing I ever got as a present. And so, but you go right back to the original catalog of Mario, Duck Hunt, Gyromite. You're talking about my alma mater of entertainment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Going
So,
with that.
Mario Brothers, would that be your favorite?
Yeah, I'd say Mario Brothers. Go right there to the classic Nintendo Entertainment System original.
Yeah.
Some of that, and then a little bit of arcade mixed in too, because I had access to an awesome arcade when I was a kid, and so I get to play like Donkey Kong and Pac-Man and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yes.
Donkey Kong, the original appearance of Mario, although he was called Jumper Man at the time, I think.
I think you're right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Matt, what about you?
Yeah.
Were you a video game kid?
Oh yeah, dude. I'm gonna have to say Super Mario Bros.
Yeah.
That's
Greg?
my top. Specifically, I'm not done.
Sorry.
Well, he said you were.
It's very
All right,
sensitive
fine,
topic.
fine. It's Greg's turn. It's
go
Greg's turn.
Go on.
Specifically, Super Mario Brothers 3.
Okay. Yeah, with the raccoon tail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that
Nah.
was cool.
Yeah. Now I'm done.
Not
now you may move on. You may proceed, sir.
All right, Greg, what about you?
Yeah, I mean,
These days
it
it's Super
would
Mario
have to be Super Mario.
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers 3.
So I'm going to throw an abstract one out there. Mario Brothers was definitely up there, but
Mike
Goonies.
Tyson's Punch Out. Goonies had a video That's a movie.
game.
Oh, yeah.
Mine was.
Yep.
I
That was
did
a
love
tough video game.
Paperboy.
It was a
remember.
really tough video game.
Paperboy.
Me and my brother
I
used to
love
play
me some
that.
Paperboy.
We had a neighbor up the road who used to play that too. He had the Goonies video game, so we go to his house, and that was like we were real soup to hang out with this kid. He was like 2 years older than us, and he was kind of rough too. He kind of like beat us up a little bit, but
Yeah.
this motherfucker had Nintendo,
Yeah.
and so we all got along on that level. Like, let's go play Goonies for a while. He had Goonies and he had TMNT.
Yeah,
Both
that's
those games are crazy.
yeah.
Oh, that,
All right.
that
Really
Teenage
fun.
Mutant Ninja Turtles game. Oh my God, that was
Oh,
so
That's
hard.
a classic.
That's a hard one.
That's a
Difficult.
classic.
My God.
Do you remember the Batman game
Yes.
that they had back then? That like
I remember
sucked?
getting that at a flea market
Yeah.
in Peevely.
That's how bad it was.
It was a box of like 20 Nintendo games. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know how much Mom paid for it, but
So
that Batman game, right to the Nintendo.
I mean, part of my
home.
childhood, a lot of my time spent during my childhood was blowing on the cartridges to get them to work.
not where I thought he was going with that. Anyway, so, a lot of my childhood was spent blowing.
And then, do you remember the Game Genie?
Yes.
Oh, the Game Genie revolutionized
Yes.
video games, right?
Yeah.
And
Our neighbor across the street had the Game Genie.
yeah,
So yeah.
we had it. You know that they got sued. Nintendo tried to sue the
Really?
makers of Game Genie. Yeah, and
I could see that.
they
Yeah.
lost. So they sued. Nintendo sued the maker of the Game Genie, and while it was while they were like it was going through the courts, whatever, they couldn't sell it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So Nintendo lost
Yeah.
their lawsuit, and the reason why they lost it was because it wasn't really copyright infringement. It was just like codes and stuff to like enhance the game kind of
Right.
thing, right?
it was unprecedented.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was uncharted waters.
So Nintendo lost, and they
Totally.
ended up having, I think it
Yeah,
was
that,
it Capcom or Namcom
Capcom.
or whatever the
Capcom.
manufacturer of Game Genie was.
Capcom.
Yeah, I believe it was Capcom.
won the lawsuit, and then Nintendo had to pay them for all of the lost sales that they had.
Wow.
Yikes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, you can't stop progress sometimes. You know, to me, that's a totally different thing. It's not like you're stealing somebody's game.
Correct.
Although, like, I can see why they had a case, but ultimately,
Right.
you can't stop Game Genie.
Right.
Yeah.
Although I will
So-
say I haven't seen a Game Genie
It's
since.
like a cheat code.
There was no like Game Genie for PlayStation. There's no Game Genie. For,
There's
SNES.
not, but there's
There was just like Game Genie for Nintendo.
there's cheat codes now. So think of like
I broke my.
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto, I think it was 3 or Vice City or whatever. You could like type in cheat codes and you could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So in a way, no, there was no what do they call it? A peripheral.
Yeah, so like that was a peripheral or accessory that would plug into the cartridge, which would create like a hardware layer. The cartridge would like load and then feed to Game Genie, and then Game Genie would feed to the system, which was like you're literally hacking that cartridge. It's actually super clever. It's like MacGyver level shit for Nintendo, and that would like because like you can code a hint into the game, but this thing would be like, let me rewrite the memory of the game to give you more health because we know how this game stores stuff on the file. It's so. Like I can see where maybe they'd get a case, but ultimately, because my cousin got a Game Genie, and we used to use that thing for more lives in Simon's Quest because that game was so difficult. We needed 50 lives to play it, and we were like, "Well, Game Genie will hook us up."
I remember playing a lot of Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World.
Right.
What was the other one? Yoshi's Island with Baby Mario.
Yeah.
I didn't play a lot of Super Mario Brothers 2. We've talked about that. That wasn't actually
2 was a very
It's kind of
weird
like a
game.
different game.
It was a completely different game with a Mario skin on it.
Right.
That with following the success of the first game, they wanted a quick turnaround on a sequel, and they were like, "Here's this other game. You could pluck radishes and shit out of the ground. It has nothing to do with plumbing."
Right.
But Nintendo was great. It was a huge part of my childhood, and then fucking Sega.
Oh my god,
dude!
Sonic.
And I think I played more Sonic the Hedgehog than I did Mario Brothers. Sonic was kind of
We were
my
in
shit.
Nintendo house.
Sonic was my shit back.
We were
in the
Nintendo
day.
house too, and my mom was like, "No, you're not getting. Why do you need a Sega? You've got a Nintendo."
My cousin got a Sega.
It's like, Mom,
and that was
it's obsolete.
Okay, see,
what are you doing to me?
so
like nobody on our street had a Sega.
So my situation was flipped. My cousin, and it's funny because my cousin lived on my street. He had the Nintendo. He had a SNES. That's where I remember playing a lot of that stuff. And then I got like a Sega Genesis from, I don't know, like my dad's friend like sold him one or something. I don't know. And so then we had the best of both worlds because there's literally one house between us. So we just walked to the other house like,
Right.
let's play Nintendo for a while, and then let's go to your house and play
Dude,
Sega
that's the
for a
dream
while.
right there.
Yeah,
That's how it was for us. Like
it was great.
we had the Nintendo NES. Then when Super Nintendo came out, our friends up the street got that.
Yeah.
Then when 64 came out, our other friend on the street had that. So it's like
Yeah.
whatever we wanted to play that day, that's whose house we would go to.
Go through
or we would trade systems.
Yeah.
You know, after
Yeah,
and then
there was a lot of that going
PlayStation
on.
came out.
Yep.
There's a lot of trading systems,
My-
trading games.
Yeah, my house had like a certain setup too. Like I would have N64 hooked up with multi-tap, and I also
Yeah.
had the computer games going too. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I had 2 computers, and I could network them, and we could play modem games. And so that's what I had at my house. But my buddy James, he also had some of that, but he also had like Genesis, and he had a little
Genesis.
extra stuff that I didn't have. So
Yeah.
like, depending on like what you feel like playing, you'd like bounce between the houses. Yeah, I did that
Oh
too.
hell yeah! The Sega Genesis was that was good times. My childhood, man. It's the Sonic the Hedgehog
They
games.
did have some awesome games.
Oh,
they
dude.
had Echo. They had the Jurassic Park game.
Echo.
Echo was a good game.
Fuck yes,
Dolphin,
Echo.
bro.
Do
Whoa.
you guys remember
Wow.
a little
the
game
Dolphin?
called No Zombies Ate My Neighbors?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yes.
god,
Yeah.
that game was the tits. That game,
Oh, man.
that game
Well,
was fucking.
Nintendo had Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a movie?
I think
is.
they made it a
Like an
movie.
old,
Movie,
like
too.
I don't know what came first. What came first, the video game or the movie?
I think the movie. It was like a 50s sci-fi
It
movie.
was that dude from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was in there too. Like,
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
yeah, it was
Rick Moranis?
Rick Moranis was in
Moranis. Hi, I'm the keymaster. Are you the gatekeeper?
the Ghostbusters, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Okay.
I saw
So-
that
Yeah.
randomly one time in
Okay.
Vermont.
Did you guys play the Ghostbusters game on Sega?
No.
Because they had one.
I played a bunch of Golden Axe.
Listen,
Yeah.
And,
I'm gonna tell you something.
Fantasy Star.
I'm gonna tell you something right now.
Tell us.
Sega. Well, I'm gonna tell you,
Yeah.
Preach.
dude. Some of the best games for Sega Genesis were like the Disney, like the games they made off like the Disney
Yeah,
movies.
I remember
yeah.
Lion
Aladdin.
King.
Lion King,
Lion King,
Aladdin. The Toy Story game was a motherfucker, dude, because it was a side scroller, it was a platform game, just like Super Mario and Sonic and all those other, it was all,
Right.
and it's like there were like you're playing as Woody and you got to use your string to like lasso hooks and like swing,
That's a rope.
and
boy.
it was a mofo. No, his string from his back.
Oh, okay. You're right.
Yeah. The like,
Yeah,
there's
the
a
pull
snake
string.
in my boot.
There's
Yeah,
a
it's
somebody
pull string.
pulls in the water.
So you'd use that, and like you'd use it like a lasso, and you would swing off these,
Right.
and it was a mofo, dude. It was like, if I went back and played it now, I'd be like, this is easy as shit. I just beat this game. But like, as like a 7-8-year-old playing that shit, I was like, fudge.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It is impressive how resilient we were as kids playing these games. Like, some of you go back, you're like, this ain't that bad now.
Oh, yeah.
Getting my ass kicked as a kid, but I'm still playing for like 4 hours trying to finish this game.
Some of those levels, though.
They were tricky.
Son of a bitch.
I had
Aladdin was awesome because I remember that
Dude,
one
that was-
distinctively. It was great graphics, great gameplay. It was like they took a little Prince of Persia and like upgraded
Yeah.
it to Aladdin. It was
that might have been
awesome
the best
game.
one of all of those like Disney games. That Aladdin game was
So fun.
off the chain.
I'm gonna take it back to Nintendo, and there's this game, is like Nemo's, Little Nemo's.
Little Nemo's Dream World.
Yes,
I'm with you with that. I remember that game.
that was such a.
Was it
It was
Little-
very like Smashing Pumpkins, Infinite Sadness,
Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness?
Yeah, like Tonight
Yep.
music video kind of
Okay.
like story about
Wasn't
it.
Little Nemo like an anime?
Little Nemo's Dream World. You could get different costumes and switch. You could be like a frog and all these
Yeah, but
different.
wasn't
And see,
was
the
it
same
based off a
thing-
movie?
It was
was
the
it?
same thing as.
I picked up the game and that's how I got into it.
I could be wrong. I'm just asking.
I'm pretty sure
I
that
just don't
they
know.
made it.
It was like
cartoon,
a
but-
Studio Ghibli type
Ah,
yeah,
anime.
But again,
like
I don't know
cool.
which came first. The
chicken or the egg, the movie or the game.
yeah.
Little Nemo's Dream World.
But-
Like I remember saving up for
Rob,
that thing.
Pull
That
up
was a
Little
great game.
Nemo's Dream World.
I forgot. Man, it's funny you mentioned because I haven't thought of that in forever.
Dude, I think about
Wow.
it all the freaking time,
I have to look that up.
and like all these like Nintendo emulators that you can get. Like that's the one game that I want, but none of them have
shit.
it. I'm like, man, I want that game. I remember our friend had it across the street, so I couldn't play it like all the time.
Yeah.
Whenever I wanted, it was just like when I was at her house or if you
Ooh,
know
her.
borrowing the game.
Ooh, her house. Ooh.
Well,
Well, you're playing a little bit of Little Nemo's Dream World.
well, that's what we call
Getting
it.
a little bit of How old were you?
Like 5'10".
Oh, okay. You probably had a little peck, a little kiss,
Nah.
a little mwah.
Well, I think girls still had cooties at that point, so
they?
you
Yeah.
don't want to get near them.
They got
Yeah.
cooties, but when they got video games, it's like, well,
Hey.
all right,
Right.
Listen,
we can make a bridge.
I'm
here.
gonna tell you right now, some of them still have cooties. I've been out to the bars lately.
Yeah.
I do not know this game at all. I've never seen this game, but it
Is
looks
it-
like it's Little Nemo in Slumberland
Little Nemo in Slumberland.
Yeah.
or Little Nemo and the Guardians of Slumberland.
I guess Dream World.
Dream World, I think, was the
So
video
Little Nemo
game.
in Slumberland, I think, was the anime I'm thinking of.
Probably so.
The Dream
And like
is
Slumber-
Little Nemo the Dream Master. Does that sound right?
Slumberland was like the world that he was in, and it's pretty much he's just dreaming. I mean, that's all it is. The little kid's asleep, and you're just playing his dreams, pretty
It's
much.
fucked up.
Very crazy.
That's fucked up.
But dude, it was the soundtrack.
I love that those
Yeah.
ideas we got hit with in the 80s is like kids playing Japanese video games. You're on like a different level of culture at that point too.
Yeah.
And that's like another little sidebar I like to talk about sometimes is like the video games and the Japanese culture that had a channel to get to us as game players, as kids. If we were like watching the news or something, there's not a lot of Japanese culture going on and some of that in the early 80s,
Right.
especially the late 80s it started creeping in, but you could get it through video games. And man, I couldn't get enough of this stuff when
Yeah.
I was a kid. I used to
Yeah.
love that kind of culture and those kind of games.
Right.
And I mean, it rode right into
Yeah,
the
you're
90s
right.
for
I
me.
never really thought about that. Yeah.
All right. Here comes a question. Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter?
Mortal Kombat.
Fighter.
Street Fighter. I'm Street Fighter all the way.
Mortal Kombat.
Sonic Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll kick your chair legs out from under you.
When I was this is kind of an 80s thing. I was beefing with this kid in like elementary school. This kid Butch, and we were like having it out on the playground, kind of getting physical, right? Like, but we decided we had to settle this shit. We were going to go down to the bowling alley and we were going to handle this business by handling Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
We're like men.
Yeah.
We went down there after school. We threw the quarters in the machine. This dude got me in Mortal Kombat. I got him in Street Fighter. We shook hands, and that was it
draw.
after that. But
Finish him.
that was it, man. So I was Street Fighter.
I think I mentioned this in a recent episode, but the first big fight that my wife and I ever got into when we first started dating was over Street Fighter 2. We're playing Street Fighter 2. It's like, motherfucker! Like, it's like that was how I was like, all right, I fucking love this girl. Like that was our first big fight. It wasn't like, oh, I saw you talking to Jessica in the hallway, like stupid shit. I'm like, all right, that's gonna be our fight.
What happened? Were you playing Zangief and like pile drived her too hard or something?
Oh, I was playing E Honda.
Uh-oh.
And I cornered her with those fury slaps.
Oh, that'll test a relationship.
Yeah,
Mind
they ain't got a
Ikea, you be
Honda.
slapping someone with Honda.
Yeah.
Who's she? Wait, who's she playing?
Well, then we like rematched, and she played Dahalzam, and it was just like from far away, just like beating the shit out of me. I couldn't even touch her, and I was like, "This is horse shit right now."
So Nate, I have to ask you, so because you're such a huge Street Fighter
That's great.
fan, what was your favorite character to play with?
Man, in SF2 it was Guile. First character I learned how to play well was Guile. I
Yeah.
liked playing him because he had that Sonic Boom and he had that flash kick. And I'd wait in the corner and I'd be throwing Sonic Booms out. And then when someone would jump over Sonic Boom, I'd flash kick him up.
Yeah,
I'd be like, haha, got you.
yeah.
But over the years, Ryu, I played a ton of that too.
course.
And I mean, there's a ton of good Street Fighter characters. Who'd you
course.
guys play?
Typically, E Honda was my guy. Who was the? Zangief.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mixed it up.
Was
a lot.
Zangief, was he like the Hindu guy?
Zangief was the Russian.
Oh, okay.
He
Yeah,
had
the
like a
Mohawk.
360 move with the controller that was tricky, but if you could do it, it did like a ton of damage.
It was the guy with the leotard with the bush popping out.
That's him.
He had the little wrestling speedos and had a full bush. Just,
Shout out to the 80s for
just
they could go there back then, right?
great guy, huge bush. You don't mess with the Zohan.
I would have to say I liked playing with E Honda or M Bison
And Bison.
or the Indian guy.
Dahalzam.
The Hall, is that his
Yeah,
name?
or whatever, however you say it. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that we even mentioned this because I was just talking about the Street Fighter movie the other day with somebody, which I know is like 90s, but Raul Julia, like, you ever think about, I think about like, dude, he could have gone on to become like a mega fucking star if he hadn't died so soon.
Jeez, I'm sorry. Which one does he play in the? Because I've got like celebrity
he's
face
M.
blindness
Bison.
sometimes. I
M.
need a
Bison.
character.
He's
M.
M.
Okay.
Bison. He was also in the Addams Family movies. He played Gomez.
Is he Gomez?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he could have gone the distance.
Oh,
man.
dude,
That
he was
guy's
great. He did a lot of stuff like in the late 80s, early 90s. And then he had like, I think, stomach cancer or something.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he ended up like he had like a lot of health issues and ended up passing.
Man, he was great in Adam's Family.
In like 94, I think was when he when he passed away. But yeah, that dude could have gone on to become like a
Dude,
fucking mega.
There's like a slew of Marvel movies he could have just shined in.
Yeah, absolutely. As I think, especially as a villain. Yeah, he'd have been
Totally.
great. He'd have been great in a lot of stuff. Yeah, no, but sometimes you think about those people that were taken away from us. John Candy, I mentioned him in the the last episode, but it's one of those. It's like, God, dude, what would have happened?
Oh, John Candy. I was
Man.
gonna mention the story. I just watched an interview with. Oh shit! I forget who it was with, but it was somebody that did a film with John Candy back in the 80s. But they were filming in Kentucky, but they were in a dry county,
Uh-oh.
and this person had to explain to John Candy what a dry county was, because John Candy's from Canada.
Yeah.
It's like you can't buy or sell alcohol in this county. Like, what? Get out of here. So John Candy in his hotel room while they were filming just kept his bathtub filled with ice and beer.
I think I heard about this story.
So it's like, if you wanted to drink, just go see John Candy. Like, he's got a beer for you.
I heard he liked to party, man. I heard he liked to party, but he was a fucking sweetheart.
Yeah.
Some of
I
those
can see
guys,
that.
you hear those like stories about, they were big partiers, but it was like they kind of became a jackass over it. But he was just like the sweetest fucking guy.
Yeah. I could see it.
But I mean, we're kind of, we got off. We're talking about video games, but some of the arcade, like Pac-Man, Miss
There you go.
Pac-Man.
That was huge.
There was a point in my life where I couldn't pass up a Miss Pac-Man Galaga.
Hell no.
Like if I'm there, if I'm walking through wherever, bowling alley, like you mentioned, whatever it is, like, oh fuck, I gotta get me some quarters.
Man, if they got the flat top one too,
Yeah.
like I gotta get me a soda and a slice of pizza and just plop it down in the glass
Yep.
and
Right.
commune for about 20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
So fun.
So my first contact with some arcade games was
Man, I
the
need-
roller rinks.
Oh,
Roller
yes.
rinks.
Used to play Street Fighter in the roller rink.
I remember going,
Yeah.
and they had 2 or 3 of them there.
Yeah.
Man,
I forget what game they had.
the one I had a Street Fighter cabinet in there, and I used to play this one kid who was like nice at Street Fighter, and I used to keep playing him and putting money in, and they'd be like, "You just keep getting beat. Why do you keep playing?" They'd just like talk shit and talk shit, and I'm like, bro, like playing Street Fighter, you're all about like you got to play again. And I kept playing this kid until I finally beat this kid,
Yeah.
and he was like pissed.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
It was. I'd put that on my CV if I had to do a life record. That goes on there somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
I finally beat this prick.
You're like, that's why. You're like, why do you keep playing? You go, that's why.
That's it.
There it is.
This is the moment.
That's
right
that
here.
moment.
That's
Get
what-
to be
that's-
Ryu
that's what
with the bandana on, blowing like in the wind with the arms crossed and shit. Like, finally. Man, I love Japanese melodrama. It's great. Street Fighters get a ton of it.
Oh yeah. Tetris was a big one for me too. Obviously, I'm wearing the. I know you said you didn't do a lot of Tetris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great game.
I was
Tetris
a
has recently
Dr.
been in the
Mario
news.
fan.
There you go. That's a
Lately,
fun one,
Tetris
too. I
was
remember
recently
that.
in the news lately.
Really?
Huh. Did they hit a new record of billions of sales?
No,
No, the
they
kid beat it.
He beat it.
Oh, what do you like?
Like
glitch
some
it out or
15-year-old
something?
kid beat the game.
Yeah.
That's
Well, it's
wild.
like-
That's never been done.
So there's
he
no.
beat the game.
So there's. So by beating it, like, all it does, like, you get to like level 99.
It's-
and
yeah, it's
then
like
it
the end
freezes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
pretty
that.
much. Pretty much.
Oh wow.
Which sucks. Like that's the one thing about Tetris is like
But I think they
nobody wins at Tetris. You just
Right.
prolong your loss.
right.
That's all it is.
I think that's what the
So-
developers were.
This is like
thinking,
life,
too.
I
It's like,
suppose.
Yeah,
nobody's
like-
gonna make it. This
No one's
far.
making it.
Yeah, by
But do the best you
quote
can
by
with the
quote
time you've
beating
got.
it, this kid actually like
He
just
ran
lost.
to the end of the program.
He just lost later than everyone else did. Like that,
Right.
Like you still lost the game. Yeah. So it's like you get no payoff from actually like beating. It's just like, oh, it froze.
Man.
I guess did I win? I don't know. It doesn't feel like I won. I guess I did.
That's what that high score is all about.
You need it
there,
like
because,
solitaire,
when
where,
I was a
like,
kid and we
the
played
cards
this in the
bounce.
80s or maybe early 90s on Game Boy, my aunt had the high score.
Yeah.
We would play this shit all day, but she would come downstairs like at night after she's like cooked dinner and play for like, one session and kick all our asses. Like, what the fuck? How come Auntie Debbie's so good at Tetris? And she used to always beat us. You know, and now I get my ass kicked by my wife. It's like there's certain games I just can't, you know.
My sister and her.
I'm like, let's play Street Fighter.
Tetris. Yeah. Oddly enough, I've actually heard that, sometimes they will recommend playing Tetris for people who have like a lazy eye, to help correct it. Apparently, playing Tetris is something that they like. Doctors will be like, I mean, you should do this.
Constant,
because it's like, I think it helps if it's like a newer version where it's like color, you know what I mean? Not like the old black and white, but like, you know, because like the colors, shapes, and then movement like helps. It has something to do with like it's like a.
So like,
optical.
Did 80s babies who played video games get like enhanced reflexes? Do you think? Because that's where I'm at.
Maybe.
I'm like, I think that probably helps.
When I was growing up, I heard rumors that the Air Force would recruit people to fly planes who were big into video games.
Yeah.
Because of really good hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
I believe it.
I've seen studies too that suggest that, like video gamers in general, we have great hand-eye coordination. Yeah.
It makes
Practice
sense.
makes perfect, I suppose.
Right.
Like,
it makes sense.
You're messing with like fractions of a second over here. That's the one thing about video games I find is very interesting. Like in normal life, there's a lot of things that can be fast, but are things really like fractions of a second fast in your day to day? Until you sit in front of a computer and now like some twitchy video game is
the only
challenging
thing I
you
could
to
see
like
that
have
it
your
would be like
reflexes
driving a car
so fast. Driving a car is a good one.
Yeah.
Gotta have fast reflexes.
You gotta have fast reflexes for that. Not all the time, but when it happens.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
And that's where I feel like video games pay off because I remember driving with my dad one time and he got pissed. He was like, "What is this? You're driving like it's a video game." And I'm just like, yeah, bitch. That's right.
Oh,
I'm good at Mario Kart.
Like Gran Turismo,
I've been training for this
Gran
shit.
Turismo and Forza have kind of...
I felt good.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't say ruined me on driving, but they made an impression on my driving style.
What about...
'Cause I take those corners. I mean, you got to take a clean inside corner.
What about cruising?
That game sucked.
In the USA.
I remember Daytona. You like look at your watch, it's still going.
Now we had
oh God, that was an arcade all the
Days
time.
of Thunder.
Days of Thunder.
Ooh,
Tom Cruise
we should have mentioned
Well,
that last week.
They had a
That's an 80s movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
They had the Nintendo game too.
I love
that game.
There's a line flub in that movie where one of the girls calls him Tom.
Oh,
Oof.
Yeah. Like instead of his character name. And they I guess they didn't catch it when they were editing the movie. So you watch the movie. She's like, "Hey Tom."
Man, Tom Cruise is still relevant today. I saw a meme going around where it shows like Tom Cruise with like a kid in his movie, and then it shows a kid like grown up as a man who has like a full beard and he's graying and stuff, and Tom Cruise looks like Tom Cruise.
It just
like,
looks exactly the same, pretty much.
like, proof Tom Cruise is vampire. It's like, oh
That's
shit,
a Scientology.
man, doing something over there.
Oh.
Because he's not aging fast at all. I mean,
No.
what, 5 years right there?
Paul Rudd's another one.
Crazy.
Yeah.
No, I never played the Days of Thunder game though.
It was better. I mean, it's just a NASCAR game, pretty much.
I've mentioned this too when we talked about like the Ninja Turtles game when we talked about Ninja Turtles on the podcast, but those water levels
Ridiculous.
on
Get out.
any
My God.
on any side-scrolling game,
Killer.
stress inducing, honestly. Like just a motherfucker of a level, like in any
That's when
Super Mario.
That's when you first threw a controller.
Yes.
water
Or
level.
one of your toys down was a water level.
Water levels.
Totally.
Water levels were just suck, dude. Like, god damn. The one good thing about like the Super Mario water levels is like you could stay under the water the whole time.
Yeah.
Mario's a fucking superhero. He's superhuman at this point.
Mm-hmm.
No problem.
Sonic, god damn, dude, that was the most stressful fucking, cause like it's got a little meter, like your breath meter, and like when it gets down, like the screen starts flashing red, and it's got that dun 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 the music, and I'm like, motherfucker, like just
Right.
You know, like, it's just the craziest thing. But I don't know, man. Those, I want to say I played more Sega than I did Nintendo. Honestly.
I played a lot of Nintendo. I played quite a bit of Sega too.
Yeah.
It was my neighbor had it, and so we would like bounce back and forth between the two systems. Yeah,
Did you guys
early on.
have the power pad for Nintendo?
Power pad?
No.
Like
Yeah.
the thing you'd run on for like track
Yeah, it
and
was the
field.
big mat for track.
So like I mean my cousin got that.
I
for
bet our
Christmas.
parents loved those things. Like, yeah, they're just gonna jog themselves to sleep, man. Dude. Because we would,
No,
we'd
I
be
never had
running.
that.
I mean, you were running and jumping and shit like that.
That was like the first Dance Dance Revolution
Yeah.
attempt
Oh, yeah.
right there.
right.
We had I think it was track and field for Nintendo. We would play on the trackpad there. I mean that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you had turtle.
Yeah, it was a
and
real
cheetah
We were excited about that, you know.
and
Yeah.
rabbit. Oh, yeah, dude, we play them all night long. And
Star Fox.
We're like working up sweats. Like,
Yeah.
Mom and Dad were probably upstairs, like, you just hear the. Dup, 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 dup. They'll be tired in an hour and a half.
You know, I do
They'll
hear
be in bed.
I do hear some of the old music from the video games. I think to myself, like, did this just actually drive my parents crazy a little bit? Because this music is like
Right.
actually grating as shit right now.
Right.
But like back then, awesome.
Right.
I'm so into this.
Right.
Actually, I remember I got a Nintendo when I was a kid. I got it. My family went to Florida. My grandparents lived in Florida. So for Christmas, we were all going to go to Florida. So we got down there, and we had Christmas there, so the presents came out. And one of the presents was Nintendo. And me and my brother were souped about this. And we hooked it up in my grandma's television and stuff like that. And we started playing Mario Brothers. And my grandma got, like, pretty quickly jealous of what was happening here. Because, you know, now, I don't understand why she's mad at first, right? So my dad's trying to explain this to me. He's just like, you know what? Your grandma's jealous. Don't worry about this. And so my grandma comes in the room and she's watching us playing. Now she's getting mad, and I turn to her. My dad is sitting in the chair right behind us, and I'm like, my dad says you're just jealous. And my dad's face just drops. She's like,
Right.
fuck. And she just turns, arms crossed. Oh, really? And I'm just playing video games. Like, I don't understand. I just threw him under the bus. He tells me the story like years later. And so this is like, we were that suited to play Nintendo then. And then when we drove home, it was so cold because it was Christmas. Our car actually broke down, and Nintendo was in the trunk, and it would like stayed there super cold. So when we got it back, we had to let the thing like defrost. So I'm sitting there like waiting for my Nintendo to defrost. And then I get to play Zelda, and then everything was cool.
Right. Oh, man, that was the game, too.
So, I just decided mid episode I was gonna
Yeah, this is a rearrangement.
change position. So if you're watching, that's what just happened. Does it look good?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I think it's easier if I do this. So from now on, this is my new position. So yeah, carry on, guys.
I mean, 80s was a beautiful era for me. It was like the glimmer of technology was coming. The internet was just a shadow on the horizon of coming out. And then computers. I had a desktop computer I got my hands on. I had like old Apple shit that people threw out that I got my hands on. I was hacking on that, and I was putting video games together. 80s felt to me like very exciting into the 90s. I mean, I was a little kid in the 80s. Then it bled into the 90s essentially. But I remember this feeling of like, I don't know, almost like a technology felt like it was just really bubbling at the end of the 80s. It was exciting, and it came through Nintendo and stuff like that. And that's kind of what I was into at that point in time.
Did Game Boy come out
tech
in the? I think that was '89
I think you're right.
when that came out too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there's a game for that called Primal Rage.
Yeah.
Oh,
They made a movie out of it.
now we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
With Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Primal Rage? No, that was Rampage.
Oh no, you're right.
Primal
You're right.
Rage
It is
was
Rampage.
like a Dino Fighter.
Rampage
Yeah.
was
it was like
the
Mortal
game
Kombat, Street Fighter, but you're dinosaurs.
with
Yes, great
Rampage was the
concept.
game with the giant like ape, the giant wolf,
Yeah.
the
Yeah, you're
giant
right.
lizard.
It was just almost the same
Yes.
thing, but like there you could like that was like set in the city,
yeah.
or at least I know one of the because I remember Rampage. Yeah, you could like climb buildings
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah. Does this, Rob, does this look okay?
it does.
Does it look natural? Is it okay?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. I'm just making sure. I could have easily waited to do this after we were done recording, but you know when you get that itch?
You gotta.
I was like,
it
this
live.
is so much better. Like, everyone's looking at Greg.
There we go.
And it's just better. Like, well, Nate's turned this way. I don't know. I like it.
I think this is conversational.
I think I've drawn enough attention to it. Let's keep talking
Sure.
about
Sure.
fucking
keep telling
80s.
it. The
So we're
80s.
talking about Matt.
Okay,
We're
should we talk
talking
about?
technically-
facing
Wait,
this
let me
way.
ask you guys this: what do you think about the idea? Malls? Was there a pinnacle for mall popularity in the 80s?
Oh,
Was there
yeah,
like
I
a
think
certain
so.
magic
Oh, yeah.
to
Yeah.
the mall in the 80s that just
Dude, they
peaked?
even Tiffany did those mall tours.
Right.
You know,
Right.
she had that big song that,
And there was a
that was
reason for
just a
that, too,
cover
yeah.
of a Tommy James song.
and she tore the
Think
mall.
we're alone now. Yeah. And they
That's pretty
actually
good.
they do a what? You like that?
Yeah, that
Did you like the
kinda took me
moves
there.
too?
Yeah,
Yeah. They did a spoof of that on How I Met Your Mother. With one of the main characters, she was a teen pop star, and her big song was "Let's Go to the Mall," and she did like a mall tour in Canada.
Okay, maybe the redhead girl,
hey.
I think.
No, the other one,
Oh, the other one.
Yeah, Kobe
okay.
Smulders, Robin.
Got you,
They-
Robin.
Yeah.
The joke was she was from Canada, and it was in the '90s in Canada, but everything looked like the '80s because they were behind.
Yeah,
So that was
10
the
years.
joke. They're like, "Why does everything look like it's 1984?" She's like, "That was '90s in the Canada." You know, like,
Yeah, I mean, Japan was kind of lagging. So, like, Takeshi's Castle came out, and I believe the end of the 80s.
oh yeah,
And Takeshi's Castle kind of had, like, a little 70s look to it.
yeah.
When you look at everybody, there's, like, mid-70s going on here, but totally in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, that was another one. Japanese television was, like, just getting to America.
Yeah.
And they were doing great stuff on their side.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I don't know. I speaking of Japanese television, so like you said, it was kind of just getting to America. I remember, like, I don't remember watching it a whole lot. My wife did. And then looking back, I was like, dude, it's kind of a dope show. Like, I wish I'd have watched as a kid was the Hello Kitty and Friends. That's not where you thought I was going. I know it wasn't, but Hello Kitty and Friends, man. Like, she had a it was like a
That was 80s?
well,
I mean,
it was like 70s in Japan.
My wife loves the 80s version of Hello Kitty, plus
Yeah.
My Little Pony apparently has tons of stuff from that time period, too.
Yep.
There was like
Yeah.
an era of that.
You guys remember Pound Puppies?
Yep.
I think I had some, like
I-
the
Yeah, yeah.
actual...
Do you,
I had a
yeah,
pound
toys.
puppy and a pound kitten, I think.
yeah. Do you remember the show, the cartoon?
I do remember the show.
Yeah, with the Howler. Howler was my dude.
Yeah.
I liked a lot of the like the old Hanna-Barbera, and a lot of those were
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah,
70s,
definitely.
but you had a lot of good ones in the 80s too. Like
That reminds me of Muppet Babies.
Muppet Babies.
Yep.
Yep.
But
There's one.
what about Teddy Ruxpin? You
Oh,
remember
Teddy
that
Ruxpin.
guy?
I think we got
Teddy
him for
Ruxpin.
Christmas.
Apparently,
That
I was
freaky-
terrified of my
Yeah.
Teddy.
Care Bears.
Oh yeah.
Care Bears.
Inspector Gadget.
Okay. You know what? Speaking of Care Bears, do you remember the Adventures of the Gummy Bears?
Yes.
Oh,
It was
Yeah,
I
all
think
like
we've talked about this.
it was all
before.
like D&D themed, kind of
Yes, it
like
was.
yeah. It was like it's kind of dope.
That was my jam.
That was obviously DuckTales
DuckTales.
because
And then you've also got, I don't know if it goes DuckTales, Chippendales Rescue Rangers. Was that in the late 80s?
I believe so.
Maybe it
Okay.
started.
Yeah, it started around
Might
then.
have. Yeah.
And then you've also got Darkwing Duck
Darkwing Duck.
Let's Get Dangerous.
and Gizmo Duck. Wasn't that? Didn't Gizmo Duck have his own cartoon?
Launchpad got a cartoon at one point. Launchpad McQuack. He was actually in DuckTales and Darkwing Duck, and then I think
Yes.
he got a Tailspin was his show.
Tailspin.
Tailspin.
So
But that was 90s,
Tailspin was
The Jungle Book.
that was like Jungle Book characters.
Yep.
That was Baloo and King Louie.
Yes, that's
Yep,
right.
yep.
That's right.
That was also my show too, but wasn't Launchpad in that as well?
I think Launchpad was in all those shows. Like he was
Yeah, I
the
think
guy
he-
who flew the plane in like
yeah.
all of it.
He was definitely in
He was like a thread.
DuckTales.
Yeah.
I don't know
Dude,
if he was.
Launchpad
I don't know
needs
if
a
he was
show.
in Tailspin, but I don't know that it matters.
Kit Cloudkicker. That was my boy. All I wanted to be was like Kit Cloudkicker and surf the clouds.
Who's that?
That was from
Tailspin.
Tailspin. Yeah. That was
I don't
the
remember
kid,
that.
right?
Yeah, he was the kid.
I don't
The
remember
boy.
You remember that movie? You
He had
remember
the
that
rat
cartoon?
tail.
I
right?
remember it.
Okay, so the kid, the co-pilot.
That was my rat tail noise.
Yeah,
No, I dropped something. I don't know what it was.
I'm
Fell
gonna
off
I'm
my
gonna take you guys
microphone
back. We're going way back, Nate. And you might know this.
I've been there.
Voltron
Oh hell yeah!
Oh, of course.
Voltron, dude.
and
Yeah.
Thundercats.
Only-
Thundercats.
And
Oh,
Thundercats.
Before you
Leo,
say anything, Greg,
ho!
only Nate's allowed.
Sorry,
I'm just
boys.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yes, being a
Thundercats.
baby
Well,
of the '80s.
the reason
I
why I
have a
bring it up because
recollection.
Nate and I are around the same age, and you
Yeah.
and Greg are.
Yeah.
you
Greg's,
know.
Greg's pretty close to you guys.
I'm right in between you guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you are.
Hi,
All right, I'm done. Get the fuck out of
Yeah.
here.
turn that chair back.
That's the only reason why I asked
Turn
Nate
it
about
all
it.
the
Is
way
because
around.
those cartoons were like early '80s.
Yeah, see,
I mean,
I really
okay.
don't remember.
I mean, Japanese
Thundercats.
anime was
See, I
coming
was
through in
like-
that way. It was like pre-anime.
I had like
Yeah.
Captain America.
Good one.
Captain.
No, Captain Planet.
Captain Planet, yes.
I knew that's what you were gonna say.
Ah.
I was just about to bring that up.
Yeah.
Can we cut that out and go back to where I'm the one who brings it up?
Yeah.
So yeah, Matt, thanks for bringing up Captain Planet.
So,
But-
Earth,
Wind.
fire,
Water.
wind,
Heart.
water, heart. By
Go
your powers
planets.
combined, I am Captain Planet. Yeah.
Bring
And then it
pollution
goes into
down
the whole-
to
yeah,
zero.
yeah.
They had like a little rap.
Captain
Yeah.
Planet, he's
He's
our
our
hero.
hero.
Gonna take pollution
Down to zero.
Dude, cartoons in the 80s were preachy as fuck.
oh, damn straight they were.
Like, you got that. You got G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe.
They always did the-
They always had the one at the end.
At the end, it was always like, oh, you shouldn't do this. Like, come on.
go vote.
Yeah. Go vote.
7 years old.
Right?
Yeah.
Write your congressman to end abortion.
What was
Yeah,
what
right.
was the big what was the big sign off in G.I. Joe where they were like,
Fuck you, join the army.
it was
Go,
when
Joe.
they would do that little preachy moment though, it was like,
They'd have Beachhead come out and he'd be like, "Hey kids, don't go near the water, or you could get ripped out by a riptide and die." G.I. Joe.
I know. I remember what it was. It was like, and now you know. And knowing is
Knowing's
half the battle. Yes,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
it was.
yeah,
It was. I knew there was like a sign off at the end because I knew it wasn't the more you know because that was like the
It was like the
more you
library
know,
thing
yeah.
at the start. Yeah.
And then the other one was that I was thinking of was Schoolhouse Rock. The knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the
That one's my favorite one.
Schoolhouse Rock.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is
Yeah.
power. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Schoolhouse Rock was also dope. Was that 80s?
I'm just a bit
70s?
on Capitol Hill. I want to say it's like mid 80s to 90s.
Maybe.
Was it?
Just
It
looking
had a
at the
very
animation,
70s
I mean,
feel.
it was kind of rough. I'm thinking 80s.
Do you guys?
But I am spitballing right now.
No, knowing is half the battle. That was the G.I. Joe. Yo, Joe.
Yo, Joe.
I had some little G.I. Joes.
Here's another
Had,
throwback.
Joe's in a base.
Do you guys remember the cartoon Mask?
I remember the comic.
Mask.
Mask.
Jim Carrey, right?
No.
No.
Oh, different mask.
Not the green mask.
No.
The movie with Cher.
It had like trucks.
No,
and
it was a cartoon. yeah.
Trucks.
It's unavailable.
What? How is it unavailable, dude?
What do you mean? Like Google doesn't have the
Are you
information?
banned out in Missouri on Google?
Okay. That's the most 80s thing I've ever fucking seen.
Listen to that music.
So very like G.I. Joe-esque.
It's almost like G.I. Joe meets Transformers in the sense that
Okay,
like
Transformers was the shit too.
yeah, so like they had
This is-
cars that would like
Transform.
kinda
Sounds like a fucking ripoff to me, fellas. Hold on. Is this a... this an episode?
Yeah.
Is there
Wow.
any exposition at all, or is it just all action sequences?
It's pretty much all action.
It's like,
I mean, I'm
there
going.
was,
I'm flipping through
but
it.
there's I know, but every time you go through it, there's nothing explaining like
Yeah,
what
yeah.
they're doing. They're
Yeah.
just doing it. Like, it's just all like, oh, look what they're doing. Oh, what are they doing? They didn't even fucking explain what it is.
They had the truck, like the toys and stuff for him and everything. That was.
Fuck, dude.
You guys don't remember that?
I don't.
No, that
No,
shit.
actually.
Come on now.
Craziness. I remember
No.
Voltron. This kind of looks like a Voltron deal.
It's
Right.
like
Voltron, Transformers,
Voltron,
yeah, obviously.
sort of like Transformers.
Thundercats.
Do you
I
remember
keep-
Sectors? Anybody played Sectors?
No.
They were like He-Man meets insects. Kind of
No.
gross,
Oh,
but
no.
also pretty funky.
No,
Anyway.
I do not. What about the Smurfs, guys?
I like
I remember
Smurfs.
the
I grew up
Smurfs.
with Smurfs.
Yep. Actually, Smurfs, Gummy Bears came on after the Smurfs.
Yep.
Used to watch that,
Now-
that combo.
I got another question for you. Do you remember the Snorks?
I do remember the Snorks.
They were basically underwater Smurfs. They weren't blue, but it was basically like whoever
This is
came up
a-
with that idea, like Hanna-Barbera, was like, Smurfs are wildly successful and popular right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a separate.
Yeah, they had like
Yeah.
they had like snorkels on their head.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
It's all coming back to me.
Jim Steinman wrote that.
Oh.
Wrote that song.
Don't know who that is.
That's the guy who wrote all of like Meatloaf's music.
I think
He's a
that stuff
pianist.
was on after. Do you guys remember Fraggle Rock?
Yeah. Fraggle Rock was
Oh,
the jam. That was
dude.
my jam.
Down
Fraggle
to Fraggle Rock.
Down to Fraggle Rock.
Dance cares away. Worries for another day. Let the music play. Down in Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a jam.
Down
right
at
there.
Fraggle
Jim
Rock.
Henson.
Down in Fraggle Rock.
Speaking of that, though, Eureka's Castle.
That's another one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
90s?
Picnic time.
I think that was more
I think
90s.
that was more
Picnic
90s.
time.
But
Yeah.
Fraggle Rock, it just reminds me of Eureka's
Yeah,
Castle.
yeah.
So.
Eureka's
I got a
Castle.
random one. You guys ever heard of Shusha?
Shusha. Shoeshine?
So the song with that would go Shusha, Shusha, and she'd come dancing out, and she'd have like go-go boots on, and they'd be like white and like it was like a Spanish show. So the reason I bring it up is because at this time we were talking about having like a few stations, like 6, 10, 12 or something.
Yeah.
One of those was a Spanish channel. And they had their own cartoons.
Okay.
And so Shusha was one of these like Spanish cartoons that would come on, and it was a mixture of like live action and puppets.
No.
Shusha
You know what?
is a
If you
random
put
one.
Susha on a menu, I'd probably order it. That sounds really good. What is it? I don't care. I'll
man.
take
I
it.
don't know.
Yes.
It's Shusha.
Susha, just bring
Susha.
it to me. Make sure it's hot.
Does
Shusha,
anybody remember
Shusha.
today's special?
Is it Shusha?
No, you brought this up in a recent episode.
Yeah, I might have.
Today's. No.
I remember you pulling it up. I remember like, I
No
remember
memory of it?
very distinctly like you talking about this, and I thought it maybe looked familiar. You something about a department store.
Yeah, department
There
store
was like a
mannequin
little
comes
mouse
to
or
life.
something.
Yeah, Muffy the mouse.
Nah, no, not at all.
What?
Not at all. Mannequin comes to life. It's like, well, you mentioned the movie Mannequin last week.
Yeah, yeah.
With Andrew McCarthy.
Yeah.
Have you? He's got a new. Sticking with the '80s theme here. There's a new documentary on. I think it's on Hulu right now. It's called Brats. It's about the Brat Pack.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
So it's him. It's Andrew McCarthy, and he's like he's interviewing all of his old co-stars. So he talks to like Ali Sheedy, Demi Moore, Rob Lowe. I think Judd Nelson might be in it. Maybe Molly Ringwald. Yeah, all
That's
the
a crew.
old.
Molly
Yeah,
Ringwald.
it's the crew, man. Do you guys remember a movie called The Pickup Artist with Molly
it sounds.
Molly Ringwald and Robert Downey Jr.?
Ooh, okay. This is familiar. Yep.
Good fucking movie. It's a good flick. It's a good flick. And the best part is like when he first meets her and they hook up, they're hooking up in the back of a car and you can't see anything. It's all just like voiceover stuff. And he's like, he says something to her like, "This is the most amazing moment of my life," or something. And she goes, "You know, it's even more amazing if you shut up for about 3 seconds, I'll come." Because he like keeps talking, and it's just a good fucking movie. It's like it's Robert Downey Jr. probably at his best, like pre, like the whole like the drug issues and everything. So,
Right.
Back when he would pop up in movies like Weird Science and stuff as like a kind of a side character.
Right.
But he really shines in that fucking movie. Yeah.
So, Matt, favorite piece of 80s technology?
Oh, God. Favorite piece of 80s technology.
So it probably would be a toy, more than likely.
I mean, I really liked, when I was a kid, I really liked my Game Boy.
The Game Boy? Okay.
I think the handheld video game system, that was like kind of revolutionary. It was like, it's a video game in my hands.
You can take it anywhere you want it.
Amazing.
That's where I played a lot of Tetris, man.
Yeah.
Was on the gray brick, the classic Game Boy.
Yeah.
The gray brick.
What about
I'm
you?
gonna say Game Boy.
Shoot, man.
Shoot, ba-doop.
Shoot, bad. We'll say Walkman.
Oh.
Okay.
Cassette.
Ooh.
There you go.
The cassettes, baby.
That was.
Nice.
I mean, I would say Game Boy too, just because that's probably the one thing that sticks out
Yeah.
to me from my childhood. But I mean, Walkman. How can we not talk about the Walkman?
Nate, what about you?
Let me see. I think I got my hands on some Apple II back in the day, like an old
Ooh, an Apple IIe.
old school computer. So I got a couple computers that had green screens on them. I think
Right.
one of them was Apple II, and then another one was like an IBM, but they were from the 80s,
Yeah.
and they're amazing. I really liked messing with those.
I
My
mean, with
dad,
that, could we say Oregon Trail?
because like shout
Oh,
out to
yeah.
my
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Oregon
Yeah.
Trail,
Yes.
Number Munchers, Odell Lake.
I mean, shout out to
Number
like
Munchers, was that the one with the frogs?
They kind of look like frogs.
like-
You had to like... Yeah. It was like certain numbers that you had, or equations or whatever.
Yeah,
Game?
give you an equation. You had to like eat the answer or
Yeah,
something
yeah, yeah.
like
It's a
that.
game?
Yeah.
Yeah, on the green screen computer.
Yeah.
Never played it. Let me guess. They munch numbers?
Yeah, they do.
No, carpet.
No, they munch. They munch.
You can't
butt.
eat carpet, silly daddy.
Carmen Sandiego was on there.
Oh,
All
where
sorts
in the
of
world
old
is
school
Carmen Sandiego?
Oh, she retired.
Love
She
that.
went to Tahiti.
Tahiti.
Tahiti is the correct answer. That was 90s though, but still awesome.
I don't know. Are we impartial to the 80s? Because it's like that's when we grew up.
No, because I was born in 1990.
Oh, were you? Okay.
Yeah, and I could tell. What? That's the.
I know, that was just funny.
No, it's not. I'm gonna say no. That's it. No. I'll say no. Like, I really do. I mentioned in the last episode at the beginning when we first said, hey, we're talking about 80s, and like, it's not. I don't think that it's. I don't think that it's necessarily that people are partial to the pop culture and the things that come out of this decade because that's what they grew up with. I think it's just, it really was a revolutionary time. We made a lot of like big leaps forward in a lot of ways.
Right.
But pop culturally speaking, I mean, we were able to do new things with, we mentioned before, like the Dire Straits, the Money for Nothing music videos, the first music video with, there were a lot of firsts. It was the first music video with like computer
80s
graphics.
brought us the like, oh man, what was it?
New wave.
What was that song where like all the artists got together?
Oh, We Are the World.
Yeah.
We Are the World.
Like,
Well,
I
okay,
know,
so
like-
prior to that was Do They Know It's Christmas
Oh, right.
by Band-Aid. That was the European, and then right, and then in the US, the We Are the World, which was composed by Quincy Jones,
Right. Okay.
and then a lot of famous like people.
We had Farm Aid
started.
started.
Yeah. You know what cracks me up about We Are the World? You go back and you watch the video and stuff of like everybody singing. You're like, look at all these major like pop stars like Michael Jackson, Huey Lewis, Cyndi Lauper, all these people, and then like Dan Aykroyd's there.
Right.
Like Dan Aykroyd was there, and he's like, "We are the world."
Well,
like what?
Wasn't Eddie Murphy there?
Probably
Stevie Wonder, Eddie Murphy. I mean, just
Stevie
about
Wonder,
everybody
yeah.
was there. And
Quincy Jones. Like I said, Quincy Jones. Speaking of Eddie Murphy, I just had this conversation recently, and since we're talking about 80s music, and he had that song, "My girl likes to party all the time, party all the time,
party all the
time." Do you guys think that they missed an opportunity in Shrek to have Donkey sing that song?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh.
absolutely.
Yep.
Because
That
like,
would have been
that'd
a
be
great.
great.
oh, that would have been
little
amazing.
joke.
Because like the whole like Donkey's shtick is that he walks around singing all the time, right? And it's like, obviously they can procure the rights to the song. It's the artist in the movie.
Hey, Eddie. Well, I don't know.
Maybe he didn't want to do it. That would have been
Maybe he really doesn't own the rights to that
Oh
song.
yeah, you never know. It's
Dude.
all political and shit. But yeah, like him, wouldn't that would have been amazing? Donkey walking through the woods,
So
like
funny.
my girl likes to party all the time. That would have been
Get the
fucking
princess
hilarious.
chugging beers
dude.
or something.
Right.
That'd be great. That's a good groovy track. I've heard that quite a bit actually. Because when I go through and I'm like, okay, YouTube, give me the
watch
80s.
the music
That
video.
one's almost always on the
Watch the
playlist.
music video.
Well,
It's
you know,
hilarious.
and now that I think about it, we're talking about like We Are the World, and like there were a lot of collabs in the '80s.
Oh, definitely.
You had
Sting was on.
Yeah,
Money for Nothing.
yeah. You have
What? Sting was
Yeah.
on that track?
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't realize that.
That's why I said, man,
He
Sting.
sings part of it.
Damn, Sting is everywhere.
Well, that's another part of
Yeah.
the story is
Money for nothing. Sting for
what's
free.
his name from Dire Straits
Mark
calls up
Knopfler.
Sting, says, "Hey, I want to sample one of your songs for the song."
Oh.
Sting goes, "I'll one up you. I'll sing the song for you."
Yeah.
And that's why Sting is on that track.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had Queen and David Bowie.
Yep.
Yeah.
You had David Bowie and Mick Jagger
Yep.
Oh,
going
there you
dancing
go.
in the streets. That might be the most 80s music video, by the way.
Yeah.
Dancing in the street. Yeah, you had Phil Collins and Philip Bailey.
Oh, man.
Easy Lover. That's another one.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of music collabs going on at that time. A lot of people just like. It seemed like the '80s was a time where people were just kind of like grooving.
Cocaine is a
and
hell of a
getting
drug.
along, man. You think the drugs had something to do with it? I mean, people were really like.
I
What-
think
there wasn't a lot of conflict
I think it was
there,
just like
man.
a party.
80s was
era.
like greed is good type of thing. Like there was
Yeah.
like an excessiveness that was coming, and we were really into it. Like the size of the hair and the loudness of everything. Like
Yeah.
I mean, 80s went hard. Like, to me, it was like the 80s represented a very human era of like us stunting as like mortals. Like before
Everyone.
technology kind of got mixed into it.
Yeah.
We're doing the thing. Like,
Right.
We were
hair's
just-
big, the outfits are loud, and people are edgy as fuck, and like the jewelry's huge, and the hair is huge, and the music. We got so much metal out of the 80s.
You ever notice?
we were all in.
Yeah.
We were all in.
All in.
Everyone was on the brakes, or everyone was on the gas. No one was on the brakes. That's what it was.
Right.
It was from the top of the mountain shouting it out.
Yeah.
You ever notice the 80s and 90s, like design and fashion? We were very geometric.
So,
Like, it was
Triangle
all
hair.
about shapes. And stuff. Right.
the shoulder pads was all like.
Yeah.
Shoulder pads.
There wasn't a lot of roundness.
No.
There were a lot of sharp edges.
Yeah, very.
There's a lot of sharp edges in the 80s. You could poke an eye
Put a
out.
triangle on that.
Put a triangle on it. Well, look at this guy.
Yeah. See.
Yeah,
Look
right?
at
Let's
this-
get the glasses going.
Look at the
here.
shirt. Look at the glasses. Look at all the.
I mean, they knew what to do. They blew it out
there
on
were
the
some
edges
shapes.
over there.
We're gonna throw some.
shapes.
We're gonna throw some
Color
shapes
shapes.
out there. Shapes and colors.
Shapes.
All the neons. I mean, I just wanted to go to a pizzeria right now.
Fuck yeah.
Man, the 80s.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
So good.
Go to a pizzeria in your 1986 drop top red convertible.
Yes.
That had
Firebird.
that had like the
I'm
wide
Yeah,
silver
dude.
rims.
I'm gonna go there with my 80s honey and her jean jacket and shit. Go
Right.
play fucking
No,
Pac-Man
members
and
only.
eat
Members
pizza.
only.
Members only.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Members only.
Hey,
Yeah,
it's hip to be square.
I'm going to be paying
Just
like
moved
what
to
80
the
cents a
room,
gallon to you.
ambulance driving.
I don't even know if it was that
Shiny
much,
shoe.
Nate. Wasn't it like 35 cents back in the
it
day?
was
35
definitely
cents a gallon?
affordable because you could be riding. up and
Gas
down.
was $1.15
This is the stories I
average.
hear. I wasn't riding no cars in the 80s,
in
but
the 80s.
Did you pull that out of your ass, or do you know that?
No, I just watched.
How do you know that?
I watched a video.
Recently?
Yes, before I came, I did some.
Why?
You know the average.
Hold on.
The average.
Oh no, hold on. Is that why you were late? You were watching a video about the average gas prices.
No, he was watching a video about the 80s doing his research on it. That's why.
He was watching Michelle Pfeiffer. That's what he was doing.
and
Well,
then
that's
all
part of the
boxes
research.
checked.
I can't help it if that's 95% of the research. Average yearly income
White goat.
for the
2007.
80s.
$40,000. 20,000.
It was like 17 in 81, and it ended at like 20,000 in
I
89 was the
believe it.
average yearly income.
I believe it. A lot of the jobs too back then, there was a lot more of like working at Walmart. There's a lot more of like working in a store. There's a lot more of like laundromat.
Yeah.
Some
Well,
of
it
these
said
jobs
too,
are like vanished too.
divorce rate pretty much peaked
Yeah.
through the 80s. So you had more like single parent
Yeah, yeah.
families and that,
Yeah.
and so now both your parents are working.
Yeah.
But yeah, they said 20,000 was about the average yearly income. Houses, the average house costs 120,000 in 1989.
Greg,
Huh.
you're usually not like the numbers guy, man.
Yeah.
I'm impressed that you brought all this up.
I always enjoyed that kind of stuff. My grandma would have these things. It was like, I don't know where they came from, out of some magazine or whatever, but it'd be like, oh, here's 1952 and the price of a gallon of gas, the price of a loaf of bread.
You do, yeah, you do like
Like,
shit like
That's
that.
just that's kind of funny to look back.
You're also like one of the only people I know who ever like pays attention to like the Farmer's Almanac.
Well, you got to.
There's that moon cycle.
Them farmers know what the hell they're talking about.
The crop is coming
Honestly,
in.
yeah, like it's kind of crazy when you look at it and you're like, oh shit, like, yeah, I don't know.
They're out in the elements.
I mean,
they know what's
nature
going on.
fucking knows. It's on us that we forgot. You know,
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
that's the way.
Well,
I
nature's
feel
all in
about it.
cycles too.
Yeah,
It's all cycles.
everything.
we're the noobs here.
Oh shit. Was that the beginning? Speaking of the news, was the 80s the beginning of like the 24-hour news cycle?
CNN
I think
started.
so because
you
now
start
you're
getting
getting into
CNN
hyper media.
Yeah,
It's like the beginning of hyper communication.
yeah.
You can't have hyper news without hyper communication. And
Yeah.
the 80s started laying out like big networks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the 80s saw the 80s. I keep saying 80s to me is the last like human. I'll just be flippant about human era, like before the internet just saturated everything.
Really? Yeah, yeah.
80s
Okay.
is like
I'll agree
we're
with that.
building it, we're
Yeah.
making networks, but we're still isolated. And, you know, we don't have cell phones yet. We're not connected all the time. We don't have a bunch of email going around. The 80s was it. The 90s, that's where we got email. We got interconnection. We got bulletin board systems. We got networks.
Caller ID.
80s was like, enjoy your biological shit. There's not even cameras anywhere
Right.
yet. You know, like, it's not like mass surveillance yet. So to me, the 80s represented like a really interesting, like, we're going to cross a precipice into the 90s that the 80s just doesn't hit yet.
Yeah.
Don't they say like nowadays you're on camera like 80 times a day?
Oh yeah,
I
at
would
least.
believe that.
In
yeah.
like your commute from your house to work and back. Like,
You just go with like all the ring cameras that are everywhere. Like I walk through an apartment complex and there's like a ring on every door.
right.
You know, and I walk in the
Yeah.
morning and I'm like, I've been recorded by like 10 people. You know, hopefully this is my good side. Like, I
Damn
don't
near
give
the
a
whole
shit.
highway is recorded.
Yeah, those Ring cameras, that's how they got Morgan Wallen.
Ooh. 80s, not so much.
You know about that,
know?
right? Country singer. He was drunk running down the street, yelling the N-word.
Oh, man.
They got him.
The
Can't
ring
be doing
camera
that.
put
Somebody,
him, brought him to
somebody
justice.
got him on a Ring camera, and they were like, yeah, that's country star Morgan Wallen.
Damn.
Whatever. He's
Careful.
doing well for himself.
Yeah.
I mean, his fan base doesn't really care if he's running down the street yelling the N-word.
If it's any consolation, I don't
Let's
care.
be
either.
real. I mean, yeah. I mean, does it affect my day-to-day life? No. You know, but I don't think he lost a lot of like country fans. They were like, he seems like an upstanding guy. Yeah.
Oh my god.
But I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't
People
know.
chilling. The other thing I liked about the 80s too is people chilling. Like you got more people chilling at like the YMCA. You got more people chilling on a patio. You got
The
more
mall.
people like just chilling at the mall. Like I don't know if we chill as much as we used to chill in the 80s.
Oh man.
Just get together and like that was what you were doing. You were chilling, and that was the activity. And
I
you're
don't
good.
think.
Now it's kind of like
I never
man.
outgrew chilling. No,
Yeah.
I can't speak
I
for
got-
everybody.
Yeah.
No, I think we all need to do a little more chilling.
And I don't do nearly
think
as much
so.
chilling.
Right.
I exponentially chill less over time.
Really?
It's unfortunate.
I think I'm opposite.
I would say in the last 2 years, maybe more so. But like, if
Yeah.
you looked at me through the 2010s, not much chill. No,
Really?
always moving.
I've chilled so much it's probably hurt me. To be honest.
Yeah, like professionally, financially, like I don't know. I'm just
All that.
fuck it.
Yep. Honest.
Well, I mean, I feel like most people, you get to that point in your life, and this has nothing to do with the 1980s anymore, but you get to that point in your life, and you're like, I don't know, man. Am I gonna stress myself out all the time and just keep running and running and running? And then for what, man? We're all heading to the same kind of fate anyway.
For the
so-
shit that happens all the time. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, whatever.
Yeah,
Used to it.
yeah,
It's gonna happen again.
fuck yeah.
80s
I don't know,
style.
man.
Yeah, so in the 80s, you could max out and be like, well, my phone's not bothering me. There's no computer bothering me. I'm going to read this magazine. That's what I'm doing now. Yeah, I'm reading a magazine. The phone might ring. You might get a
Even
phone
so, you
call.
could just
You
unplug
could
it.
unplug the thing, and now you're dark
Shit.
again. I kind of enjoyed that about this idea. Like, as a kid, I don't know if I appreciated it, but when I look back at it, I'm like, that's kind of interesting. You could really just kind of disconnect, and, I liked
Right.
that.
Well,
Truly disconnect, yeah.
let's circle back around, Rob. I don't think we ever got to your answer to your question. What's your favorite piece of 80s technology?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was hoping you guys would forget about that.
Auto dialer.
Why, you don't want to talk about it?
Oh no, I do. I like to talk about it, but we touched on like it would have to be toys,
Yeah.
and you mentioned Teddy Ruxpin.
Greg did.
Yeah, it was one of my favorites as a kid. Now, mind you, I'm mid
the
80s. So there's that, and then like the Nintendo, and then I mean, if we're thinking like technology, like
Well, I mean, that counts.
it's the VHS.
Okay.
Would probably because I watched so many
Right.
videos on it.
Laserdisc.
Mine was Betamax.
Yeah. Laserdisc, God, those
Laserdisc.
were expensive. You had to have some money.
Yeah, I never had a Laserdisc. I didn't know what it was for probably until
Yeah.
like adulthood. I was like, what the fuck is a
Well, that
Laserdisc?
was Laserdisc in like the 80s, or was that like right
Might have been
before
early
DVDs?
90s.
Laserdisc was right before CDs.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it was like,
yeah.
They were, so picture a CD, the way it looks,
Right.
but the size of a record.
yeah,
Right,
they were
right.
nuts.
Arcades were kind of at their prime in the 80s, too.
Yep.
Yeah. So that would be another one, like the 80s, the 80s games,
It's like the arcade game cabinets, like
Joust and Pac-Man.
I liked
and-
the
Joust.
I liked the 80s video games. The idea you could sit in front of a cabinet, if you were like any good at it, you could play for a little while, and you'd be interested. You could play for like 10-15 minutes on a quarter if you were good.
yeah.
I mean, the game
Right.
was still designed to take your money, but
Yeah.
I feel like a modern video game at the arcade, I go to Dave and Buster's, like even if you're fucking, the pinball wizard, you're only gonna play for 5 minutes because that thing's, it's designed to take your money. The old games, they were designed to take your money, but if you had skill at them, you could play for a while.
yeah.
I
Tell
do
you
like
what,
that.
I will have some fun at Dave and Buster's. Though.
Yeah,
That's a fun ass place.
that's a fun.
We should all go one night.
That would be
I am
In a while.
That'd be a good,
down.
that'd be a good night. It's been a long
Allison and I
time.
go.
Nate, the last
so,
time I
yeah.
went was with you.
Huh?
We had like
I
a
went
buddy-
maybe like 4 or 6 months ago.
We could bring the lapel mics and do a little.
I am so down, man. I'll get some fucking White Claws and we'll get fired up.
Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. Shit, man. I mean,
I'll play some Mario Kart. I'll
Okay.
play some air hockey.
I just thought of something now. I don't know if this is an 80s thing,
okay.
but do you remember the viewfinder things?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Like with the
Yes.
discs?
Oh
And
yes.
it was like a scene or from. So I had a
Yes.
bunch of those.
Yeah.
Right. That would probably be one of my favorites. I haven't seen
Ooh,
those
those
in a
are
long
fun.
time. Yeah.
What's the fuck? Okay.
I remember Sesame Street
That-
one.
Those are
I had
really
a Sesame
cool.
Street one. That's your favorite?
That's like VR stuff.
thing?
Right there.
That was probably my favorite. Yeah.
All right.
That's like
It's kind of
kaleidoscope
funny because
type
it's
stuff.
almost like the most less tech.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
It's
No,
it's
that's
plastic.
Yeah.
It's plastic and film.
But it's like microfilm, though. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It creates
yeah,
like a
yeah.
little world when you
Are
look
you
in
kidding?
there.
Every single one of us play
Oh, I had
with one of
I
those.
had
and
one. I
we
had
probably taught the world of them. I know I
Yeah.
did. Like, this thing's freaking great.
Let's,
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I know Greg pretty well. This motherfucker would still get fascinated by a viewfinder.
Oh yeah,
If I put one in
they
front of
still
you,
make them.
if I put one in front
They
of you
still
right
make 'em
now,
and you can, yeah.
you'd be the conversation would be over.
I mean, there's only 10 slides on it.
I don't. Yeah, but if
Yeah,
it
it
was
was like
especially
10
if it
or
was like
12 or
if it was
something,
like
right?
nature shots or something, this dude would be like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah,
Oh, look at that eagle. Cool.
yeah, cool. Look at it,
A waterfall.
Yeah, one other thing that just came to mind is the idea in the 80s is that the food that was coming out in the 80s, the idea of boxed this and off the shelf that was like at
Yeah.
its prime. And everything was good. You were like, you know what? All this stuff is totally approved by the government. I'm going to eat powdered mashed potatoes.
Right.
With no problem.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to eat biscuits. I'm going to
Yes.
eat everything. And man, we
BPA
did.
plastic.
Yes. The instant everything microwaves were up like getting huge.
Yes.
Fucking, and I don't mean like physically. I just mean like
Popular. Yeah, totally.
Um,
We had 'em.
I think fast food was probably hitting a peak popularity as well.
I would think so too.
Burger
'cause they-
King was slamming.
Yes. You know,
McDonald's
I
was
mean,
slamming.
yeah. Obviously, they had been, some of those had been around for a little bit. McDonald's had been around for a while, but like, that was like, yeah, everything was fast. Everything was go, go, go.
Yeah.
Wonder if it had something to do with that cocaine you keep talking about.
There was like Happy Meals you could get, and like
Yeah,
all
man.
the, like stuff you could just. Taco Bell was real exciting. We used to go to Taco
Yeah.
Bell. I remember a lot of that.
Pizza
And,
Hut
like-
was way
Yeah.
better.
and then
back
soda
then.
was banging too. Like,
Pizza Hut
Mountain
was the
Dew.
bomb back then, but was it because we
Coca-Cola.
didn't know any better?
I don't know.
I mean, maybe so. You know, I do wonder about that.
I mean, is
like,
that the same reason
is it
everybody was
innocent
stoked on
time?
Reaganomics?
Well, I tell you
No,
this:
no, it's
Pizza
better
Hut
yet.
toys were the shit.
for the fast food kids
Yeah.
meals,
Yeah.
like Happy Meals and stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, McDonald's had it too. They had some pretty cool ones, but the Pizza Hut toys were all, especially those Land Before Time. Hand puppets, man. Those
Specific.
things were
I saw
awesome.
one of those the other day, and you want to talk about getting transported back to my childhood?
Yeah, let's
it
talk about
was
That smell.
it was the smell,
Oh,
but
no,
I
like-
had the like little green guy. I forget his name.
Petrie.
No,
Oh,
Spike.
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 I'm impressed.
Spike.
Wow. You guys know it.
Damn straight.
Oh, that movie's a shit.
It's dinosaurs. I'm all over it.
I like dinosaurs.
I like turtles.
I like turtles. That's Greg.
I do though.
Land Before Time was
You
that
know,
was
you know the other thing, the radio.
oh
Fucking
yeah.
radio was banging back in the day because that was one of the major music sources, and it was hot and it was new.
Yeah.
And we had a radio you could dial in with the analog, and you'd turn the dial, and you'd physically tune it into the right
Right.
station and listen to that.
Well, that was our only music source.
Even in the '90s too.
Pretty much, other than going out and buying the CD or the cassette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Tune in.
Did you ever have a boom box where you could record, like a blank cassette?
Yep.
You're recording on the we all did
I
that.
recorded Woodstock. I don't know if it was the point
Okay.
or if it was at the time there was 104.1 Extreme, which was
Okay.
like
Yeah.
the points competitor.
Yeah.
But it was the 99 Woodstock.
Oh,
One of
the
them-
shit show
One
Woodstock.
of them aired it the whole weekend,
Really?
just live.
Yeah.
And I thought it was awesome because there was a delay, but they never caught it. So you'd hear all the curse words, which as
Yeah.
a kid, you're like, yeah, cool. But I sit there, record. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Recorded ICP, Metallica,
Wasn't
Limp Bizkit,
wasn't
Korns,
that
all of them.
99 Woodstock? Wasn't that the one where they had all the like it like broke out into a riot and there were fires and shit like that?
That's been all of them except for the first one. Pretty much. The 94 Woodstock was just that was the shit.
That was the bad one. I thought
The first one was good. So 94 was good. 99 was the bad.
Well,
99 was the
94 was the
big,
one where
big-
they played where
Like,
Green Day.
Green Day
The
was
infamous one is where they started throwing shit up on stage.
Right.
Yeah, all the bottles and
so
stuff.
like
Yeah.
they're just tossing shit back and forth. But 99 is the
that
one
was the real
where they put Limp Bizkit and Kid Rock out on stage thinking they'll calm the
Yeah.
crowd down.
And
man.
and Limp Bizkit, Fred Durst
Yeah.
did not calm them down.
He pretty much incited it.
well. Okay,
And that's
so,
one by the end, like sets
so-
on fire.
Okay,
Who sets out
Chili Peppers.
Fred Durst to like calm the situation? That boy is
No.
dynamite.
Chili
Yeah.
Peppers
Every
did the
time
same
I've seen
thing.
him.
yeah.
They did.
Well, they
So-
did the
With
song
Light My Fire.
So people, people were starting to like start fires and stuff. So they send Bush out there, and Bush kind
That
of
was
calms.
that was the first night though.
Yeah.
The first night
So-
they put Bush out.
All right.
like,
So Bush
You gotta
comes out.
play a little
Bush,
glycerin or something.
Bush kind of calms everybody down. They do glycerin. They do a couple low key. They're like, all right, and so like they end their set with glycerin, right? And it's very like they're like, okay, we're starting to get like, and like even like I forget the guy's name from Bush, and he's like he goes backstage, he's like talking to like the coordinators and stuff, and he's like, I think we're kind of getting people back down a little bit. And like I said, people are like starting fires back on the thing, right? Like in the back of the hill, and they're trying to put this out. Next up, right after that, Chili Peppers come out. What's the first song they play? They cover Jimi Hendrix "Fire."
yeah.
They're like, yeah, let me
man.
stand next to your fire. And then there's just like boom, 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 boom. Like 6 different fires break out. People are starting fires in the middle of this field and shit. And it's like, God damn, dude, you guys really had to do that? Come on. I'm pretty sure, wasn't that the same one where they come out just butt-ass naked?
No.
Like Flea just like strips down?
Well, I think Flea did. Yeah.
I think
actually.
Flea just like stripped all the way down and he's like running around. It's like
There's a
cock and
famous
ball
one where
swinging
they all
around.
come out with socks on
With
their
the tube
titties.
socks on
But
them,
that
yeah.
was like one of the early.
Yeah, that was like early days.
That's what made him
Yeah.
famous.
But I'm pretty sure at Woodstock 99, Flea was just like, fuck it. Just goes
Yeah.
all like,
Yeah, I think by the end of the set he was naked.
yeah.
There was a documentary on that.
Yeah.
On that
A couple
one,
of
and
them.
it's good.
Yeah.
And one of the people that commented on it was like,
Billy
they
Corgan.
felt like our generation in 1999
Yeah.
needed a Woodstock, like our parents' Woodstock.
Right.
We didn't need our parents' Woodstock.
No.
Yeah.
We
All
needed-
our music was. I mean, we had Deftones, Korn, Limp Bizkit screaming at us.
Yeah.
It's like we didn't. No.
No.
It wasn't going to be no peaceful.
It wasn't peace and love and harmony.
Right.
It was Family Values tour. Is what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
it was
much.
all Limp Bizkit, Rammstein, Ice Cube touring.
Yeah.
Korn was out there yelling at people. Narcissistic Cannibal. It was like, okay, yeah, this isn't, Janis Joplin.
Right.
Right.
It's very different. Different vibe here.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, guys, do you guys have anything else you would like to add before we go?
D&D in the 80s.
Oh,
was
yes.
crazy.
Yes.
Growing out of the 70s.
Yeah.
My buddies, shout out to Josh and Bill, like they
What's up,
had
Josh?
D&D
What's up, Bill?
posters all over their walls and stuff, and that's where I first saw this. And this must have been like 89 or something like that, maybe early 90s, but I think it was like the end of the 80s. And that stuff just pulled me into another world.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I remember that from the 80s as well, D&D.
So, a lot of credit has to go to the 80s for progressing the fantasy genre,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because just look at, like, we talked about Labyrinth last week, right? Well, Tom Cruise's first movie, what was that?
Risky Business?
No. Way his very first one. It was
Dragonheart or something?
1980. No, it wasn't Labyrinth. There was something like that along the
Oh, you're talking about Legend?
Legend.
Legend.
The
That's
unicorn,
it.
the unicorn
Yeah,
movie
yeah,
with
yeah.
Tim Curry.
Yeah,
the
I
devil?
Damn, Tim
think-
Curry's
I
all
think
over
so.
the 80s.
Yeah.
Tim Curry was all over the 80s. Yes, he
Yeah.
was.
Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
My all-time favorite, Never-Ending Story.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a great one.
Tori had never watched it,
Yeah.
and I made her watch it.
Ah, right.
And she was like, we get to the part in the swamp,
Yeah.
and she's like, why the fuck are you making me watch this fucking movie?
Yeah.
No wonder you're fucked up. Because you had to go through this traumatic fucking shit as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't go into the dark, Artax. Don't go into the light, Artax.
Oh man.
Yeah. You gonna cry?
Wow.
What's Clue?
I'm digging up
Clue was-
repressed
I think it was
memories. I think
1980.
by hearing about this. Like there's black
okay.
boxes in my record
that was a
for this
great
movie.
I think it was.
And that's probably
That was
what's in
on
it.
Samsung TV.
So let's
Not too long ago.
let's recap. Most traumatic moments from 80s movies. Artax dying. Christopher.
Predator doing anything.
Yeah, Chris. Okay. Predator ripping out Billy Dean's or whatever his name, ripping out his spine.
Clue was 85.
The part where Christopher Lloyd dips that shoe into the dip and Who Framed
my
Roger
God.
Rabbit.
Yeah.
It's fucked.
Right. This is why we're fucking men now.
Okay.
You know, boys growing up nowadays didn't have to go through this shit. You know,
Yeah,
when we
right.
were younger.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna say there's two guys. You just brought up one, and we were just talking about another one because Greg just asked about Clue, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. I'm gonna say that the two people that come to mind that were, I think, pretty underrated as far as like we don't talk about them enough and what they did in the 80s is Christopher Lloyd and Tim Curry.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Agreed.
Those guys just fuck, dude. And like you talk about like filmmakers like Spielberg and John Hughes, just
Killing it.
Rolled the 80s. Robert Zemeckis is in there as well.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean,
You know, we're actually about to wrap this up. We're all together for the 80s, and we have yet to talk about Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones, E.T.
God,
E.T.
dude.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Ooh, good one.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Close to Fire in the Sky.
Don't know that one.
That one's freaky.
Rob comes out with
Sky.
some obscure fucking shit, man. He's,
Hey, I like it.
Yeah, I am a product of the 80s.
That's all right.
Fire in the Sky is
that's
technically, well, it's based on a true story, but that later, like 20 years later, they find out that it's not true. But there's a creepy part in it where the guy gets fucking abducted and by the alien. You've seen it, right, Nate?
I've seen it.
Yeah.
It fucked me up.
Alien.
It came out around the same time as
It introduced the idea of the abduction phenomenon to me.
yes,
The idea of being like extraterrestrials could scoop you up with like a tractor
scoop you
beam.
up. Yeah.
And that was unsettling, especially in the woods. Like they caught him up in the woods,
Yeah.
out in the pines, and
Yeah.
like, the light shined down, and yeah, fuck that.
It came out around the same time. Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Okay.
Right
Okay.
around
Right.
time frame. Yeah.
Yeah, that one did some damage.
Yeah. I mean,
Red Dawn.
ooh, that's a good one.
Wasn't that in the 80s?
Yeah.
I
So
think it was.
so we went through these two segments and didn't mention Patrick Swayze at all.
Right.
Like, how do we not mention Roadhouse
Right.
yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Right.
or Red Dawn?
Or well, that's not.
Well, you did-
Patrick
you-
Swayze, but what about Urban
I
Cowboy?
mentioned Dirty
Dancing.
but we didn't talk about it.
No, we didn't really
Yeah.
get into it. No, we might need to keep
the Sways, man.
the 1980s on our topic list and revisit.
Yeah, because there's so much that we haven't gotten into. The Abyss.
Go on.
You were talking about James Cameron. You're talking about predators and aliens,
James Cameron.
and people forget
Right.
his breakout was with The Abyss, and that's
Oh,
one
yeah.
of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Did you know that the Xenomorph is based on an actual deep-sea creature that was discovered in the 70s or something like that?
Really, I
Yeah.
could see that.
Yeah,
I could see that. There's a lot of shit out in the ocean that's
we know more about space than we do the oceans.
yeah.
It's just crazy.
We'll do a deep dive on the ocean in one time. Did you like that one?
I did.
All right, fuck.
Yeah. Okay, look at this thing, dude.
Oh my god.
What is that?
It's
Nightmare fuel.
Phronema. The barrel riding parasite that inspired the movie Alien.
That's a real. That's a
a
parasite.
It's a parasite, and it lives in
looks like a
fucking
cicada when it's
jellyfish.
molting.
How big is it?
Not very long. An inch or
amazing.
two.
Fist.
Okay.
An inch or two, maybe.
Dude, there is just so much life on this planet. It's insane.
That's ridiculous.
Look, there's
That is
a photo.
parasite inside of a jellyfish. How specific?
You're right. There's a photo I've
I
seen.
hope it doesn't eat people.
Let's see if I can find it real quick.
I mean, it
before we
probably
go.
wouldn't. We don't have that much in common with the jellyfish.
Yeah.
Our blood cells would be like, "What up, bitch?"
Jellyfish don't even have a brain, don't they? Isn't that a thing?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I thought I heard they don't have a brain.
You do.
Where do they keep it?
Yeah, I don't think jellyfish have a brain. Look that up. Do
Oh,
jellyfish
okay.
have a brain? That's good. Our next episode's going to be all about jellyfish.
Nice.
Anyway, there's one particular image that I saw, and it's like it might be something like this. It's spot
Whoa.
on the way it looks. Do jellyfish have a brain?
No, jellyfish have no single centralized brain.
You sure?
That's what it says right here.
Centralized brain.
Yeah, instead they have
Nervous system.
radially distributed nervous systems that are adapted to their unique body plan. Interesting.
I mean, your brain's pretty much just a bunch of nerves.
Yeah. Hey.
So it's
What is the
They just
brain
have a
if not
very complex
radially
nervous
so
system.
the whole
nervous
thing
system?
is a fucking brain.
The whole thing is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. Fuck. We're done. I'm not talking about jellyfish anymore.
Well,
Well, guys,
jelly,
it-
jelly.
it's kind of bittersweet. Right?
I mean, yeah,
We're
we'll be
wrapping
back.
up
We'll be back.
season 3. It's the season finale. It's been an awesome season this
It
year
has.
too.
Super fun.
You know, the first season that we were in the studio, you know, and it's been a great time just kicking it with you guys, hanging out. And Matt said last week we are going to be taking a brief break from this podcast to do a side project called Play for Blood.
Yeah.
We're still going to have the same characters, Nate and Greg
Well,
are going
we'll
to be coming
have,
in as like co-hosts, right?
Yeah, so we're going to kind of have a revolving door of it's a little side project I'm working on with a buddy of mine named Casey. He's going to be coming in. And we're just going to do maybe like just a handful of episodes. Like I said, we've got one of the hosts of our sister show, One Beer at a Time, Jim. He's going to come on, and we're going to have a few people kind of come in, and we'll just we're just going to kind of focus on talking about action flicks, man. It's just something that we all kind of grew up with and still enjoy, so it should be a good time.
So stay tuned for that.
Welcome to the party, pal.
We've got a lot of things in the works that we kind of want to explore and do. And
Hopefully, I mean, we do this because we like doing it. We're having a good fucking time. And hopefully you guys are enjoying watching and listening. I mean, that's
Right.
partially what we're doing it for too. So if nobody's out there watching and listening, then I mean, we're just kind of doing it for ourselves. But even so, I guess we're having a good time doing it.
we're having a good time doing it. Yeah, at the end of the
So,
day.
but I mean, one of the best ways to get the word out there is, word of mouth, and just, kind of like subscribe, follow, share, do all that good stuff,
Yeah.
and just kind of help us, just spread it around, man. Like if you know people that like, pop culture and have these, similar interests of, the movies, music, TV, technology, video games, all that good stuff. I mean, this kind of drives our lives in a lot of ways, whether we realize it or not.
Mhm.
So, but it's just been fucking amazing.
It has.
Super
I mean,
fun.
Rob and I started this alone. It was just him and I. We brought Greg on, which was a good fit, I think. And then Nate came in for that first bonus AI episode. And then we just, I think, found that core group here.
You found the groove.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to do the podcast with you boys here, and it's been cool to do this and engage the audience too, because I know there's people out there watching this, and I hear the feedback from people, and so
Yeah.
shout out to all of you. watching the show, and thank you for watching.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
We've had a good time doing this, and we're gonna see what happens in the future with this stuff too. I'm sure we got more fun stuff on the horizon. The show you guys are talking about, the action stuff, that's gonna be a lot of fun. So, looking forward to seeing what happens with that. And when is that coming up? When are you guys thinking about dropping the first episode of that one?
It will be 2 weeks from after the airing of this episode.
It'll be probably mid-July.
Yeah.
We're looking at about mid-July.
Right. At the time of this recording, it's June 23rd.
Yeah. So
first or second week in July.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
So, without further ado, this has been Culture Copia Season 3. Matt, Nate, Greg, and Rob are going to be signing off. Please be sure to subscribe. Like Matt said, word of mouth gets us pretty far. We've got big things coming up in the next couple of months. Yeah. So without any further ado, we will see you guys.
Let us know if you like my new seat position.
Yeah.
This is. Do you want any other changes in the studio? Let's find out.
Please comment. Let us know. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's gonna do it, and we will see you guys next season.
Tupac lives.
Whoop whoop.